Okay, so can things just stop exploding for like 5 minutes? I feel like there is a new issue that I care about that happens like every week now, and I just can't cover it all. Don't they realize that I work a full-time job and I'm very tired? The issue this time is Twitter, again. Elon, in his infinite wisdom, decided that he was gonna make blocks useless and just solidify the app as a AI scraper. Great. Now, I've mentioned that I've hated the site and its current owner for a while now, but I kept coming back to the site because of my friends and my moods. And then it got bad when I decided to go down the proportional representation in Canadian politics rabbit hole. I'm regretful of that fact. Not the moods that I met along the way, but certainly the amount of time that it's taken from my life. Luckily, my friends are going to be on at least one of the two alternatives that I use semi-regularly, Bluesky. But what is Bluesky, and how is it different from Twitter? Well, in this guide or overview or whatever you want to call it, I plan to demystify the platform a little bit. Mostly because I just think it's neat, and I want to talk about it. So let me talk about the neat thing. Okay, let's just start with the very basics. First, you're going to need an account. Head over to bluesky.app and hit the sign up button. Add in your email, a password, and your birthday. As for hosting provider, don't worry about that so much at this stage. 99% of people are just going to use Bluesky's hosting anyways, unless you're a nerd. Nerdier for me, for that matter. Then you have to make your handle. This is how most people will find you on the app. Your full handle is going to be your handle name plus whatever domain you're under. Unless you want to sign up for custom domains, then you can literally just be a website. No, I'm not kidding. Once you have all that stuff set up and confirm your email, you're more than free to use the site. So let's get into how to use it. So now that you're on Bluesky, who do you follow? Well, if you're coming from Twitter, there's this great extension called Sky Follower Bridge. With the extension, you can see who on Twitter also has a Bluesky account through your following page. To use it, all you need to do is install the extension, put in your Bluesky details, or alternatively use a one-time password for account safety reasons, and just follow whoever you see has a Bluesky account, assuming you want to follow them on Bluesky. Or if you want to start fresh, users on the platform can create starter packs. Think of them as recommendations from users for users. From there, you can view their profiles, follow them individually, or just follow everyone that's in the starter pack. I've went ahead and made a few starter packs of just people who I think are neat on the platform. But honestly, there's no shortage of starter packs. You can find plenty of them just by searching around or looking in the starter pack feeds. It shouldn't be hard. Twitter was the microblogging platform for years and years before Muskrat took over. So let's start with posts, shall we? When making posts, your character limit is 300 characters. As of the time of writing, posts can support emojis, up to 4 images, even GIFs, and recently can support 1-minute videos of up to 50 megabytes and about 25 videos per day, apparently. This includes a card system for links, so long as they include it, such as for YouTube, and it supports it far better than I found Twitter ever to do it. Still salty about that, Elon. The best part is you can even remove the link after the card is created, and it will keep the link in the card. I don't know if that made sense, but I'm showing a visual of it working right now. Please, editor Neens, please. And as far as I can tell, sites and messaging apps like Discord support Bluesky embeds pretty seamlessly, except for I've noticed videos. For those, you need to use cbsky .app instead of bsky.app. Not sure why. This might change in the future. Generally, if you find that a post doesn't work with an embed, use cbsky.app. Posts also have pretty expansive reply settings. They can be set to everyone, people you've mentioned, following, users in a selected list, or nobody, and you can even turn off quotes, which I'm sure many people would be happy about. Posts are the bread and butter of Twitter likes, and Bluesky has them in spades. The only thing as of right now is that they don't support polls, but I personally don't mind it all that much. They might add in the future, I actually don't know. I have no way to segment into lists, so we're just going to talk about lists now. Lists can take three forms. We've already talked about starter packs, but there's also follow lists and moderation lists. Follow lists are what you might have experienced on Twitter as, well, lists. These are a subsection of users that you add to this list that are just like this subsection for a filtered experience. You can also pin these to your home, just like you can on Twitter, which I personally do for a vibes list. Moderation lists, on the other hand, are a subsection of users that you add to this list that you don't personally vibe with and you either want to block or mute. These lists can be subscribed to by others. A very popular one that gets passed around a lot is the anti-AI and crypto shill list. One critique that I have about the current moderation list implementation is that if someone that you're following is in that list, that a pop-up would come up and be like, hey, do you want to review this? And either decide to block or mute them, or be able to remix the list into your own personal block list. If you're going to subscribe to moderation lists, just be very careful that the person that's on there is not someone you don't actually want to block. Oh, by the way, since we're on the topic of blocking, let's talk about moderation. Okay, let's get into the moderation options. Muted words and tags allow you to add, well, words and tags that you want to just not appear on your timeline. These can be set for a certain duration, be for both text and tags, or just tags on their own. These filters that you apply can be ignored by those that you follow. These can be useful for things such as avoiding certain topics, nasty words, or ideally avoiding spoilers from your favorite anime or manga. Moderation lists can be viewed in the moderation tab as well. These are, like we've just mentioned, these are good for mass blocking and mutes. To explain the difference real quick, mutes prevent you from getting notifications or top level posts from certain users. If they reply from a thread, you will get a warning telling you that the post is from an account that you have muted, with an option to show you the post. The account will not know that they are muted. Blocks are, well, blocking the person. Blocks are so strong on Bluesky that they remove all previous interactions with that user and prevents future interactions such as likes, replies, DMs, and on top of all of that, that user is now hidden from you. Bluesky content filters are filters that allow you to, well, filter out the content that you don't want to see, usually including things like adult content, rudeness, or impersonation. You can set them to warn you of such content or just hide the post altogether. You can be as strict or as laxed about this as you personally want as the end user. We'll talk a little bit more about labelers when we get to the labeling section later in this video, but those follow a similar premise. Something that I should mention about blocks on Bluesky is that these are all public, at least through the API. This is all part of Bluesky being an open and public network, supposedly. There's this third-party app called ClearSky that allows users to see who they're being blocked by, who they're blocking, and if they're on any lists. Now, there's been much discussion about this, and there are people who are saying that this is a major problem, and there are other people who are saying that it's not really that big of a deal. I don't personally know. I just know that it is very important to mention this information if that gives you any reservations. Do your own research. I'm a guy in a condo. while we're on the topic of third-party apps real quick, and in regards to blocking, there's this thing called Blockenheimer, which allows you to basically mass block a bunch of people. This is done by setting a parameter that if, say, someone interacts with a certain post or is following a certain person, that those users will then get moved to a list, or you can just mass block them in general. Very useful if you want to block a bunch of nasty people all at once. Just keep in mind that this is the nuclear option. You can always go back, but this is the nuclear option. Casualties are very high. I don't know when I'm gonna put this in the video, but real quick to note about these third-party apps such as Blockenheimer and Skyfeed is that you're going to need to use the one-time password or like app password in order to use these. Just keep that in mind. DM/chat is a more recent feature to Bluesky. You can allow chats from anyone, people you follow, or even no one if you really wanted to. And frankly, that's valid. I don't want to talk to people sometimes, too. Blocked users are not able to DM you, but muted users are, so keep that in mind. It's a little rudimentary right now, but it is supposedly supposed to add in end-to-end encryption media in the chat at some point, and even group DMs. Again, it's a little basic right now, but if you need it to work, it works. So you might have heard that Bluesky has no algorithm. This is technically true, but it's about as helpful as saying that Mastodon and the Fediverse is like email. It makes me cry. It's more accurate to say that Bluesky does not have a singular big A algorithm like most other social medias, but instead there's a bunch of smaller, user-curated feeds with their own algorithmic preferences. These are feeds that people can subscribe to and even pin to their home just like you can with lists. Anyone can make their own feed either through a service such as Skyfeed's Feed Builder or the Bluesky Feed Creator third-party app, or they can even code it manually and host it themselves if they know what they're doing. I do not know what I'm doing, so I'm using the first two. Many of these feeds are topic-centered, usually focusing down on certain keywords, hashtags, or either by a singular user or by a list, in a chronological order. But feeds can get very granular, filtering out only certain types of media, your mentions, or the push pins. The sky is literally the limit. Well, assuming you know about coding in variables. That goes without saying. But pretty much sky's the limit. Some of my favorites include Quiet Poster. For those that follow that don't update all too often, they're just as valid here and you won't miss them with this feed. Mutuals, because it's always nice to keep up with mutes. Everything PS2, because gee, I wonder why the PS2 fanatic who talks about PS2 games a lot on their shorts is following the Everything PS2 feed. That's crazy. That's wild. Popular Friends is good for newcomers because not only does it show the most popular posts of your friends, but also those that they are liking. The gram is literally just showing you images of those that you follow. Honestly, really good if you're on an account that follows a lot of artists. The push pin emoji feed is pretty nice because, well, there's no bookmarking feature in the official app yet, and it's always good to find old posts that you liked. Or like, super important. I'm using it for a bunch of AT protocol stuff. The AT what? Don't worry about it. Overheard B-Sky. For when you're in a late night Tumblr posting kind of mood and you just want to see the more unhinged side of Bluesky, it's pretty great. I love it. As of the time of writing this, I've made a few feeds myself through the Skyfeed Feed Builder app. Most of them are just filtered posts for certain hashtags that I use for, well, just filtering down certain posts that I want to, like, be very important about. These are either for updates or for videos that I either want to share or post. Pretty simple. But for less narcissistic feeds, I also made a feed for Rumbleverse posting that filters out the list made by Rumbleverse Warrior to basically just be Rumbleverse posts from the Rumbleverse supporter list. I also just have a general feed of artists that I think are neat. That's about it. What I think is really nice about these user-curated feeds is that it ends up being a much more fluid community than what you would get on a Mastodon instance. But it's also not the dumpster fire toxic hazard that is Twitter. You don't have to worry about taking the psychic damage that Twitter's algorithm is bound to give you, but you also don't have to worry about not having the reach by being on a certain Mastodon instance. What feeds you follow are ultimately up to you, and paired with blocks, mutes, and the labeling filtering system, it ultimately leads to a much better curated experience for the user. It kind of feels like going to your local community center or library and living a little instead of just working and going home. Did I just call myself out? Oh yeah, I still gotta talk about labelers, don't I? Oh no. Labelers are content filters that users can subscribe to that can either label or filter out certain content or users via the certain parameters that the labeler sets. The user can then set to warn or hide certain posts, or simply add a badge next to a user post if they meet that parameter. You can also just turn off certain labels that are part of that labeler if you just don't care for certain things. These filters can be for very nasty things such as racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, to more mundane filters that you might not want to see on the site, such as covering pictures of spiders or AI images, or just give yourself a little badge, such as with the TTRPG labeler. I'm a halfling magus. I'm a little guy that does the pew-pew with my sword. A key example of the moderation style of labeler is the main moderation system by Bluesky themselves that is mostly used to filter out adult or graphic content. A lot of this is done through a reporting system or a reply form like you can with the pronouns labeler. But other ones seem to have more of a bot usage, such as with the aforementioned TTRPG labeler. What I think is really nice about these labelers is that it's better than just merely relying on the Tumblr etiquette of tagging things properly and including anti-tagging. Like, it's cool if you still want to do that, but people don't follow the rules. One double-edged sword of the labeler system is the fact that these are self-hosted services that run independent of the network as a whole, kind of similar to how feeds work. What this means is that if the labeler goes down for whatever reason, you know, the rest of the network's still running, but that labeler is down, so anything that is under that label is no longer applied to them because, well, it's not online, it's not running. This was once seen with one of the most high-profile labelers on the site just imploding due to drama, which I'm not going to get into because it's in the past. I don't know the whole story, and frankly, that's beyond the scope of this video. Just trust me when I say, if you don't want to look it up, that the vibes were off, and that's a very gross understatement of the situation that was. But I think it does bring up a lot of important questions of, like, what does it mean to rely on all of these community-supported services, the importance of backing up work that might go offline, not trying to do too much with a single service that is supposed to be, like, multi-layered. And for the love of God, verify your moderators. But again, that's beyond the scope of this video, and I certainly am very unequipped to, cover that topic. But I still think it's important to mention. I will say that generally I still think that labelers are very cool and are good of the two opinionated services that are on the network, but I think only time will tell to show how well that will actually work. And that's about all the main big things that I wanted to let you all know about. The network is still in development. There's a lot of features that are coming through. Just trust me though, that this is a lot more along than when I was in the invite stage of Bluesky. Which psst. Thank you, Mari dearie. You know, she's pretty cool. You guys should follow her or something. I don't know. That's crazy. I think Bluesky has some potential. It's very much more user curated and simplifies a lot of the processes than Mastodon does. Some of that's by design, but the design really shows with Bluesky, and I think more people are just going to use Bluesky as a result because of that simpler, easier to get into sort of thing. And the funny thing about Bluesky is that it perfectly encapsulates something that I wanted out of social media from a post that I made over on my Rambles Well Written blog, with the user-curated feeds and filters and just having more user control than just solely relying on a singular algorithm. And I think that's pretty neat. Now, that being said, I've been researching Bluesky for a while now. And through that time of research, I have acquired knowledge. Such knowledge that I have been burdened with for quite some time now, and you know, I gotta get it out of my system. It's sunken cost fallacy at this point, and I'm look, listen, if I had to spend months of my life that I'm never going to get back just trying to understand what the hell a fire hose is and why is it hooked up into a relay, well, you're gonna just sit there, Buster, and I'm gonna explain this whole goddamn thing, cause otherwise I'm gonna lose my next time, because I think it's more important that I focus on the actual thing here instead of going into how the AT protocol works. I'm just saying.